Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Ainin Sofiya Binti Sulaiman and my student ID is 2020455976. So here is my presentation regarding to the situational based analysis. So, the discussion given is about first, due to COVID-19 pandemic, many organizations suffered and employees faced with the possibility of wage reduction. Discuss the effect of wage reduction during country's lockdown. And the second one is about the coronavirus, which is COVID-19 pandemic, has led to the biggest number of employees faced with the job insecurity and the business faced with loss. Explain how the organizations cope up with the challenge and how the government support them through COVID-19 pandemic. Generally, we all know about the situation where coronavirus disease 2019, or more be known as COVID-19, is a worldwide pandemic which has hit the world extensively since December 2019 due to severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 SARS-CoV-2 epidemic outbreak emerged nowadays. There were many organizations suffered and led to the biggest number of employees faced with the possibility of wage reduction and job insecurity, including the business that also not spared from faced with loss. It has been stated that this current crisis indirectly exposed the weakness of global supply chains as well as including high level of informality involving both job and business in a risk. As well as employers, they also were forced to reduce wages and cut salaries of their employees, or perhaps had to lay off their employees as it was the only way for them to deal with the impact, both in pandemic transmission and movement control order, due to the financial problems and costs that cannot be borne anymore, and in turn, it will lead to the closure of the business itself as they could not operate like usually. So, the first discussion is to discuss the effect of wage reduction during the country's lockdown. As we can see, due to this pandemic, employees were forced to find another extra job apart from the work that they have because of they need to survive as well as to cover their daily expenses in these uncertain conditions. It was totally making such a big impact to them as they've been forced to strive by all means in order to make ends meet as well as to ensure their family's well-being. As a result, we can see that most of the riders of food delivery nowadays, such as Foodpanda, GrabFood, is just a part-time for them because of they need to find another initiative of income to support their daily expenses. Second effect of wage reduction towards employees is the employees are being persistent in request to drawing down their savings for emergencies. When some of the employees enter the temporary layoffs due to lockdown, they were prevented from going to work and causes them to have looked for another initiative to use money. For example, as we can see, they have to withdraw their own retirement benefit scheme, such as ICNA, in order to ensure that they can continue their life with some of the money that they have. This will indirectly lead them to being forced to use as much savings that they have in order to face the new norms of their life. Last but not least, the effect of wage reduction is employees may lose their job or their contract not renewed, where due to the financial problems and costs that cannot be borne anymore by some organizations, the employees been forced to take pay cuts as well as in leading them to job shift, or might lead to the employees being underpaid as it was the only way to reduce the risk that will be borne by an organization. It is also as to preserve employment, or in turn, it will lead to the closure of the business itself as they could not operate like usually and need to bear losses revenue as the organization has not been able to cope up with the revenue that they have right now due to this situation. So, for the next discussion is about how the organizations cope up with the challenge and how the government support them through COVID-19 pandemic. As for organizations, they can adopt temporary wage subsidies to cope up with the challenge occurred, it is a part of range policy measures to overcome the effect of the crisis. It is to prevent layoffs of the employees, as the employees can continue to work as well as to help the organizations to preserve their skilled workers and also to recover the production after the lockdown end. Not only that, it is also to help the employers who try not to lay off their employees by making them keep working, either by take pay cuts or leading them to job shift, This will indirectly prevent the employees from being faced unemployment that keep occurred due to this unprecedented situation. Besides of temporary wage subsidies, the organizations can adequate minimum wages as it can prevent larger increase in both inequality and poverty, as well as to protect workers' wage going down to low levels. In addition, by adequate minimum wages, it also can ensure that both minimum wages and wages are above existing floor. Not only that, the organization itself also need to play important roles toward employees by having social dialogues, as it can help the both parties receiving all the fair share of the progress. So, in this unprecedented situation, we can see that the government is the main parties that can help both employees and employers as well as the organizations, where there are many provisions are made to ensure that no one is left behind during this pandemic. The government can support by implement the wage subsidy program, where the employers receive wage subsidies for their workers, as well as to help employers who had experienced drop in their income and struggling to cut costs as to retain their employees. Not only that, it is also help to maintain the economic activities by focusing on income for both organizations and employees. The government also has introduced loan payment moratorium, where it is as a response to the crisis happen that disrupt normal routine of business. Moratorium has been known as a temporary suspension of an activity due to financial problems faced by the business, such as bankruptcy. It is also to ensure that both of the business as well as the individuals can survive and continue with their operations during this pandemic transmission. In addition, Bank Negara Malaysia also providing the repayment flexibility by a target extension to both individuals and organizations who affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. So, in conclusion, we can see that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, possibility of wage reduction that occurred faced by the employees just giving the bad impacts. Not only that, it is also has led to the biggest numbers of employees faced with the job insecurity, as well for the business that also not spared from faced with the loss due to the organization itself that could not operate well. So, all the parties involved, especially government, should take proactive steps in order for who is affected because of this pandemic can keep continuing their lives. So, that's all from me. Thank you.